guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey, Florida, because guess what? I want to help you figure out a little bit of a dilemma I think that some people are in. I want to compare a 2020 Mazda CX-3, which has already been in their lineup for quite a few years now, to the all-new, fresh for 2020 Mazda CX-30. But before we get into these two, let's just talk a little bit about Mazda. Mazda really is such a unique auto manufacturer. Their company started all the way back in the 1920s, not producing cars, but producing cork. Sort of like cars, starts with a C, but quite different. 1930s is when they produced their first vehicle called the Mazda Go. It was a three-wheel pickup truck. Over the years, they really gravitated towards rotary engines and that technology and really made a name for themselves, including being the first Japanese auto manufacturer to win the coveted 24 Hours of Le Mans with a rotary powered race car, and to this day, the only car to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans with a rotary powered engine. Now, over the years, emissions rules and regulations have not been very kind to the rotary engine. Maintenance is a little bit more intensive than your traditional internal combustion engine. So Mazda had to make a switch. The great news is that with the desire for SUVs of all sizes, including the smaller ones like these two crossover SUVs, Mazda really has opened the door back up to a lot of different people coming to this unique auto manufacturer to get their SUV fix. Now, the CX-3 is interesting because when you hear CX-3, you probably think Mazda 3. Well, this actually sits on the Mazda 2 chassis, which is smaller. The all-new CX-30 over here sits on the Mazda 3 chassis. Now, if you're wondering, well, why are they calling this the 3 and that the 30, the reason why is that the CX-30 has to be a new name because CX-4 was already taken. You go to China, they have the CX-4. But why don't we go ahead? I really want to show, and these are at the same price point. We're going to compare a CX-3 here, that's Grand Touring trim, to a CX-30 with the preferred package trim. Right off the bat, you'll notice how it's smaller. It's a smaller vehicle sitting on that Mazda 2 chassis. Very, very low sloped hood into the front fascia. What I love about either of these is, I guess what, it looks like a Mazda. They have very unique styling. You can see the headlight design, daytime running lamps. Really like the way they brought the chrome trim into the headlight housing and then have it drop down into the grille. You do have lower exterior lighting with the fog lamps. Very small, very trim, no fake vents, which is great. A little bit of gloss black. I like on the Grand Touring how they bring some chrome to kind of balance everything off. We come across that open grille, horizontal slots. It's a gunmetal gray. And then one thing you'll notice is if you look at the logo of Mazda, their grille shape actually matches that. That's very unique. The lower sill here has a nice extension, and definitely the CX-3, much more sporty in its appearance from the front. Now, when we go to the all-new CX-30, you can see a little bit wider, not as low sloping with the hood. And one thing is for sure is that when it comes to the CX-3, that one behind me, that design came out in 2017. Since then, Mazda's been able to do some new stuff, especially with their headlight design. Full LED, you can see how much smaller it is. I love the way the front fascia extends out and the upper part here kind of extends out as well. You have that same great design with the chrome trim, no fake vents, very, very slim and trim on the exterior lighting down low. And then as we come across the front, you can see the different direction they went with the grille design. It still has that nice drop down feature that mimics the Mazda logo, but you have the gloss black, and then you have that same flat black lower part, just does not extend as much. Going up onto the hood though, you can see the body lines very, very similar to what is with the CX-3. Same kind of body lines, they rise up on the front and go towards the A-pillars. But why don't we go ahead, let's check out the sides and the backs of these two Mazda SUVs. All right guys, time to take a tour around this Grand Touring trim CX-3. First of all, the Soul Red. You can't beat Soul Red, that iconic Mazda color. When we come around, you can see how wide the flat black trim is around the fender well. Not too bad. You drop down, these are the optional wheels on Grand Touring. It's an 18-inch wheel, machined aluminum with the gunmetal black and grayish tones. Really like the multiple spoke look, and I think it works well with the Soul Red. Now, as we go down the side, I really like the way that this is kind of wider, and then it gets a little skinnier on the bottom. Nice roof line. Now, I'm 6 feet tall. You can see the height of the CX3. You have, of course, that beautiful Soul Red on the mirrors with your LED turn signals. Just a little bit of gloss black here on the lower portion. You have that flat black with the chrome trim. That matches perfect with that front grille area and the two lower pieces. Look at the body lines. I love what Mazda does. So it flows down into the door and then comes back and fades away. Really think that that gives the CX3 some great style. This one has a sunroof up top. We come to the rear, kind of slopes back, small quarter window, nice, almost like a flared out portion of the rear. And then when we get to the back, Mazda's very, very unique design to their brand. So you have a low roof spoiler. I love the taillights, full LED taillights. You drop down the Mazda logo, the CX3, and dual exhaust that is functional, looks good. A little bit of flat black, but the good news is I think that this will take a better beating over time. But why don't we go ahead, let's compare this to what the CX30 is all about. All right, guys, time to take a little trip around the all-new CX30. This is the preferred trim level as we come around the bend. Now, when we look at the plastic cladding on the CX30, it's much wider. So it comes up much wider. The beautiful blue, though, almost as good as Soul Red. You'll see this is the multi-spoke wheel that we're working with on this trim. Now, if we're wondering what's the size, same size wheel. So, like I said, I was trying to keep the prices the same and what kind of options you have. 18-inch wheel, flat silver. The other one has that nice machined aluminum part to it, which kind of brightens it up a little bit, but still looking good. Large, but you can see if you follow all the way around, it stays very large and even gets larger across the bottom section. Gives it a little bit of a different look. I think with the 18-inch wheels, it balances it out. If you go with a base CX30, they come with 16-inch wheels, and that kind of really throws off the proportions. You got the beautiful blue on your mirror caps, very small trim, LED turn signals. I like the design. I'm glad that they went flat black here instead of the gloss black like they did on the CX3. You have the chrome trim just on the bottom, kicks up to that small quarter window. Very, very, like I said, I think that the area that bothers me the most that I'm gonna zonk is how high this comes up. I wish it was just a little bit lower, but you have a nice side sill extension, give it some identity, much more rounded if you notice. We had sharper corners and edges. As we flow back to the rear, it looks like a Mazda, just like the front in a good way. Low roof spoiler, we drop down, you have your full LED taillights, your CX30 badge, and then what's nice is you're gonna have the same setup. You're gonna have flat black, and the dual exhaust. Just gives it a nice look. It doesn't need to make a ton of noise, but it looks really good. Let's go ahead, pop the hoods of these two Mazda SUVs and see how they're different. All right, guys, we got the hoods popped. They do have prop rods, so we're gonna zonk both of these right off the bat. But underneath the hood, you do have an attractive engine cover. What you're looking at with the CX3, it's a little smaller vehicle. You're also gonna get a little smaller engine. So you're looking at a 2-liter inline-4 naturally aspirated engine, 148 horsepower, 146 pound-feet of torque, all mated through a 6-speed automatic transmission. No CVTs at Mazda. Weighs a light 2,800 pounds. MPGs, 29 in the city, 34 on the highway, 0 to 60 in about 8.1 seconds. Now, when we transfer over to the CX30, you're gonna see something very familiar. That's that 2.5 inline-4, the same engine in the Mazda 3, 186 horsepower, 186 pound-feet of torque, naturally aspirated. You also get the 6-speed automatic transmission. It does weigh a little bit more because it's a little bit larger vehicle, 3,232 pounds, 0 to 60 in around 7.5 seconds. And like I said, I think what you're gonna find is that with the 2.5, you're gonna have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to power delivery. And of course, both of them having 6-speed automatic transmissions and all-wheel drive available is also a nice feature. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the interiors and see what the differences are there. All right, guys, we're inside the CX3. I know a lot of you are probably saying, hey, well, I kind of like the CX3 being a little smaller because maybe you're in the city and things are a little tighter on parking and all that. How much is this one? Grand Touring, you're looking at MSRP of $27,000. Let's see what you get for the money. Now, bad news is we're starting off with a zonk. Top portion of the door is hard plastic, but you know what? Mazda makes amends. They give you some Alcantara style material with the contrast stitching, leatherette material on the armrest with some stitching, and then this one has a Bose optional sound system. The thing is that the pocket for the door is on the smaller side, but the good news is you can fit a couple Twinkies in there and a bottle of water to wash it down. I like the silver trim as well. Now, when we get to the dash, same story, hard plastic. So we're zonking that. I like the aeronautical air vent, the Alcantara material. The good news is they maximize the real estate. So they actually integrated an AC vent into this dash area so that the passenger has two and the driver has two. 7-inch infotainment system screen. Let's see if it's touch. Of course it's touchscreen. So you have two ways to access the screen. I'll show you the other way in a second. Since Tom is up there, I'm gonna put the car in reverse. You can see your backup camera. It's a little grainy and you do not have any trajectory, which to me in 2020 is a little bit of a zonk, especially on a $27,000 car. As we drop down, your start stop button is a little bit hidden. You do have heated seats, no ventilated seats, and another zonk is gonna be, there's no dual climate control. $27,000, I would expect dual climate control. I do like the silver trim though around the knobs. It does make it feel classy. 2 USBs, a 12 volt, and a place to put your Kit Kat bars. And you know what's great about Kit Kats? You can share them with somebody or you could eat the whole thing yourself. Stitch work, nice soft. This is gonna control that 6-speed automatic transmission. You have the Mazda switch to put this into sport mode. That's gonna adjust the parameters of the transmission. And then here's your other area to actually control the infotainment system. And it's really easy. You select something, you push it down, comes up, you can hit home again, and you're right back to where you started. Electric e-brake. What's weird is where the cup holders are. So you're probably saying, well, where are the cup holders? They're in your lap. No, kidding. Cup holders are actually right here. So this could be a cubby for a bag of gummy bears, or you push the button and now you have a cup holder. If you're saying, well, there's only one, no. This hard armrest, it's like an old piece of sushi. You lift this up, you have another area for more gummy bears, or now you have another cup holder and you could actually adjust the height of it, which is kind of nice. And they have a little section for 2 emergency Twinkies. Here, whoa, we almost dropped it. Here is your key fob, the older style. CX30 is gonna have the newer style to the key fob. Seats, Mazda does a great job. I love the leather, I love the stitch work, perforated top, stitching comes down. The zonk is manual for the passenger, manual for the driver at $27,000. That should be power for both. You do get a standard sunroof, which is nice, standard size sunroof, and I like the lighter headliner. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this CX3. All right, guys, business time. There are no memory settings for the seat because guess what? It's manual. So you're gonna have to use your own memory of how much you're gonna have to use this lever here to go up and down, and of course you have your controls to go forward and backwards. Steering wheel though is great. I love the Mazda steering wheel. It's a good size, nice stitch work. The buttons are real easy to get to, flat black, so you're not gonna get fingerprints all over them. You do have paddles on the back of the wheel to go up and down. That 6-speed automatic transmission. Dash, I like the dash setup in these CX3s. The tack is smack dab in the center. You get a digital speedometer, digital information left and to the right, and you do have a heads-up display, but I am gonna zonk that old style where that plastic screen needs to go up and down every time you shut off and turn on the car. But why don't we go ahead, let's see the back seat and see if your passenger is gonna be cramped in the CX3. All right, guys, we're in the back seat of the CX3 and it's tight. Getting in and out, being 6 feet tall, you're sitting kind of upright, which is nice. And my head is not touching the headliner, but it is a little claustrophobic back here. You can see leg room is at a minimum. 1 pocket. So on a Grand Touring, you only get 1 pocket, so you can only bring 1 abacus with you. Another zonk is gonna be no rear AC, no connectivity. At least right there, there's not. Maybe there's a power cord somewhere underneath the seat. The leather though, like I said, is great. We pull down the armrest. What do we have? It's actually not too bad. It's on the softer side, and then there's your cup holders, nicely placed. Let's go ahead though. You've seen the back seat. Let's check out that cargo area. All right, guys, cargo time. Before I open this up, I just want to let you know that the Mazda 3 hatchback has more cargo space than this Mazda CX-3. So we open it up, very, very small. The seats do fold down, the 60-40 split. If you want a hard number, you're basically looking at around 12 cubic feet of space. The real challenge is that, yes, you could put these down, which is great. That's nice. The real challenge is look how high the rear bumper area is. So if you needed to get something from ground level into here, it actually is quite high. You lift it up though, you have a great storage area for Twinkies, Little Debbies, Funny Bones, whatever you want to put in here. Really awesome setup for that. And you could adjust the height of the floor, which is smart as well. But let's go ahead, enough talking about the CX3. Let's check out the all-new CX30. All right, guys, we're in the all-new Mazda CX30. This one, that preferred trim level, package trim level. I know you're probably saying, well, Joe, we've heard the price of that one. How much is this one? MSRP is actually a little bit cheaper on this one. It's right at $26,000. Let's see what you get for the money, because it's gonna blow you away. All new door panels. Look at the material. You have soft material up top. You have the beautiful blue leatherette material on the armrest, the contrast stitching. This does have the Bose sound system, as you can clearly see, and a larger door pocket to put even more snacks for the trips. And the design work is great. Look at how it flares out. There's a lot of detail. Come to the dash. It's kind of a split level, but it's all soft. The stitch work, this is like a pillow. AC vents, nicely blended in. You get to the all-new navigation system. Now, you tell me what's better, the one in the CX3 or the CX30. It's an 8-inch infotainment system screen. I like the way that they have it located. It's low enough to where it's not in your way, but easy enough to see it. Now, the challenge is no more touchscreen, but you really shouldn't be having to go this far forward to touch a screen anyways. Plus, the other challenge is it does not fill up this whole space. This actually could have been a larger screen if it took up more space. Let me show you the backup camera. We go into reverse. Same backup camera, no trajectory. So that is a zonk. They should have updated that. But I do love the great AC work. They moved the start-stop button, which is smart. It's easier to get to here. You can see the nice trim. You have dual climate control. The controls are so slim and trim. Heated seats. You drop down, you got your pocket up here, your cubby for your circus peanuts. The thing I am gonna zonk is the location of the cup holders. Having them in front of the shifter, I do not think is smart, especially if you want a super big gulp or something. Where are you gonna put that? But here is the updated key fob. It's more like a Zippo lighter style. It's got the buttons on the side. I think it's a move in the right direction. 6-speed automatic transmission, beautiful, nice, polished look to it. You got the leatherette boot, which is great. And then you have your control knob to control the infotainment system, navigation, and all that. And what's nice is instead of the rainbow design, it just lists them in a column. You'll get used to it, I promise. You just push down and select it, real easy. You get back, real nice. Gloss black, the trim. Look at over here, look at the beautiful stitch work. And I'm digging the blue, especially on this blue particular CX30. The stitch work is great. We open this up, and guess what? You could probably stack in here like Lincoln Logs, probably about 18 Twinkies. You have one USB and a 12 volt and a nice little divider in there. So if you want to have some Little Debbie snacks and Hostess snacks, you could put up the wall and separate them as they should be. Close that up. Seats, same beautiful leather. Stitch work is great. Manual controls for the passenger, but the great news is electric controls for the driver. And the seats are soft, they're wide, they hug your hamstrings great. No sunroof though. You're gonna have to go a little bit higher in the trim level, which of course is gonna add to the price, but I think so far we're off to a great start based off of what you get and the room. Come on over to the business end, I'll show you behind the wheel of the new CX30. All right guys, new CX30 time. Here is your electric assist for the driver. It's even got the lower lumbar, which I love. Steering wheel, tilting, telescoping, just like the CX3. New design though. You can see how they slimmed it up, trimmed it up. New horn button. I like the silver on the buttons, the flat black. And both of these are going to have all the driver's assist needs that you need to keep safe on the road. Now you have, that's actually a digital speedometer in the center. You have an analog tach and then analog coolant and fuel gauge. And what's cool is you could actually toggle through different information in that centerpiece. So look at that, it actually slides through. There's your lane keep assist. Really, really clear graphics. I do like those extra touches. Even the way they did the blue leather is amazing in here. And you have 2 memory settings for the driver's seat. At this price point, with more room, let's check out the back seat and see how your passengers are gonna love the CX-30. All right guys, we're inside the CX-30. Remember, this is on the Mazda 3 chassis. You could feel it. I'm feeling it. More room, more leg room, more headroom, shoulder room. You do have rear AC on the CX-30, but zonk, no connectivity, not even a 12 volt. That to me is a bummer. Armrests, soft as a baby's butt with 2 cup holders, but I'm still missing the armrest. And what is up with 1 pocket? I wish you could have 2 pockets. I know this isn't top trim, but come on, Mazda. Let's go ahead and check out the cargo area and see how this CX-30 is improved over the CX-3. All right guys, time to check out the back cargo area. You just push the button, use your muscles and lift it up. It's not heavy. There is what you're getting with the CX-30. Way more room. If you want a hard number, here's your hard number. 20.2 cubic feet of space, just like on the CX-3. You can fold the seats down. It's the same system. Push it down, and then of course, you're going to flop it down. There you go. Just to give you an idea of what that looks like. The amount of room is great. Let's pick this up and see what we have. You do have a spare, so they're not just giving you a rabbit's foot and a can of flat fix, hoping that you're gonna make it home. You do have a nice size spare. And what's great is, it's actually a very, very light, just as light as the CX-3's rear hatch. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the best part. Let's take these 2 Mazda SUVs for a spin. All right guys, we're gonna start off this comparison in the CX-3. You're definitely gonna notice that this obviously is the older design philosophy, especially when it comes to the interior. It is cramped in here. The head-up display is pretty much pointless. It's down right by the line of the hood, and it's because of the piece of plastic that goes up and down. That needs to be changed right away. Overall though, I mean, the great news is you have a lot of headroom. It's just the other room in the car is on the tighter side, especially for the passengers in the back seat. But rolling out, let's see how acceleration test goes on throttle. So naturally aspirated 2-liter. And that's where the CX-30 is gonna be a little quicker. This, not so bad compared to a lot of other vehicles in the class, but definitely it's nice to have that 0 to 60 at least in the 7-second range as you're merging onto traffic or trying to get out of somebody's way or get out of your own way. But the good news is the CX-3, the feedback to the steering wheel is spot on the money. I'm gonna go ahead and put in sport mode. That actually raises the RPM level because it's changing the parameters of how the transmission operates to give you a little bit more sporty drive. But Mazda has put their philosophy for driving enjoyment definitely into this vehicle. Brakes feel good. Visibility, it's a little tight. Where the A-pillar is, it'd be nice if it was just a little further apart, but guess what car is further apart? That would be the one we're comparing it to, the CX-30. But smooth shifts, nice that it's not a CVT. The dash is very easy to read and understand. It is the older setup, but I don't mind it. I kind of like having the tach there, but I think for most people it's probably better to have the speedometer smack dab in the center instead of the tachometer. But let's do another acceleration test here. Front wheel drive on throttle, on the brakes, good feedback. I'm telling you, the feedback to the wheel is really where these Mazdas come into play very, very nicely. I mean, that's the nice thing about this vehicle. Even though it's on the smaller side, it does drive well, which is great. And, you know, I've driven a Mazda 2 before, so it kind of makes sense because it's on the same exact chassis as the Mazda 2. Getting to the controls is real easy. Obviously, I was hoping for dual climate control in this particular one, but I think where the Grand Touring on the CX3, where the CX3 wins, is definitely a little bit more in the looks department, with the optional Soul Red, with the machined aluminum wheels. It looks a little classier than the setup on this one. But remember, if you want to go up a higher trim level in this in the CX30, you can. All right, guys, we swapped seats. We're in the CX30. Right away, you could immediately feel the quality difference in here, and I think this is where you're gonna win super big. Plus, on top of that, more room. That's a no-brainer to me. Brake feedback, brake feel is great. Pulling out. Remember, this has the 2.5 liter, so a little bit larger displacement on throttle. The 6-speed doing its thing. Visibility out over the hood is very clear. Remember how I was telling you a second ago about the A-pillars? You're not having that issue with the CX30. It's clean, it's so clear as day. Back window's great, side mirrors are awesome. Ride's really smooth, and you're gonna get that same great feedback. No matter what Mazda model you get, you're gonna get great feedback through the steering wheel. And the new style steering wheel, at first I didn't like it. I'm liking it more and more every time I get into one of these. Getting to the AC controls is great. You don't have to worry about touching the screen. You could use that easy drive knob to get through the different controls, different settings, and all that other good stuff. But definitely, I think that Mazda raised the bar by producing this CX30. And remember, starting price for a CX30 is around $22,000, which that is a lot of car for the money. Of course, you have the different trims you can choose from, but this, going up against that CX3, I'll be honest with you, it blew it out of the water. And if you're going CX3, it's probably gonna be for personal reasons, because you like the way it looks or something, or you just want super small. This, for less money, you're getting more. On throttle, front wheel drive, remember, more horsepower. On the brakes, good feedback. Tipping in, really nice, super smooth. It's another thing you'll notice is the 2.5 definitely not as buzzy as the 2 liter, and that just makes sense, being a little bit smaller displacement. But you know, this engine is used in the Mazda 3s, sedan and hatchback, and I think that it's a very flexible platform, and you can see just by the driving. Great weight to the steering wheel. That's another thing I like about Mazdas. You put it in sport mode if you want. Other than that, you just drive. You drive and you enjoy. And now being behind the wheel, which you're obviously behind the wheel more than you are sitting outside the car, this is where you get to enjoy it every single second of your drive, every single day. All right, guys, another acceleration, a little bit of loss of traction, no big deal. On the brakes in this left-hand bend, feels good. I like the dash layout, even though this one doesn't have the tach in the center. That digital speedometer that looks like an analog speedometer, it's very clear, and it's at a perfect place in the gauge instrumentation. Through this left-hand bend, nice and solid. You feel planted. This doesn't have an all-wheel drive. You can get an optional, but it definitely feels really good all the way around. And you know who's gonna love you more and more? Whoever's sitting in that back seat. If you like getting hugs and kisses from your passengers, buy a CX30. You'll get plenty. But hopefully this gives you a nice comparison overview. We're gonna get back to Ed Morse Mazda, so let's wrap this up in a split second. All right, guys, been another wonderful day here at Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey. Definitely got to thank Quentin and the rest of the crew getting us access to these two. What can I say? I think it's a no-brainer. The CX30 is really what the CX3 should have been since the start. Is the CX3 terrible? No. Can it fit some different lifestyles of people who need a little bit more smaller size vehicle? I get it, but for the price, you can see that this isn't even a fully loaded one, and you're getting more room, and the amenities were wonderful. But if it's vehicles like these that you want to see compared, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rise family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you on the channel, click the link in the description. Get yourself some Radies Rise merch. Got to give it to Big Guns McGee. working double time, getting these two doubles on camera. So thank you, Tom, for your hard work. And just like always, I'll see you on the next ride.